I read 4 5-stars this month. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 5-stars. I think I was living my best life, and I'm here to tell you about all of my July reads. Welcome to my July wrap-up. These are all the bad boys I got to this month. I read a total of 8 books this month, which is better than I thought I would do, but a little bit lower than I typically do. But like 9 is my goal, so I'm not mad about it. Also, quality over quantity seems to be a thing here. This equals out to 3,694 pages, which is less than my typical average, but that's okay. Which ends up being about 119 pages a day. I typically sit around 200 pages a day, so that shows you how little this reading count was. But July is one of my busiest months because it is summer, and I like to experience the 2 months of summer that we get here in Alberta. My average page count of a book is 462 pages. My most read genre was fantasy romance. I only read 1 book that wasn't fantasy romance this month. I wasn't playing around. As I said, I read 4 5-stars. Yay, go me. 1 4-star, 1 3-star. I did read 2 2-stars though, but 0 1-stars. This has my average star rating at 3.58, which is officially my highest average star rating month. Go July. Pat myself on the back for that one. I read 3 new releases, 3 backlist releases, and 2 last year releases. And of course, 7 fantasy romance and 1 thriller. The first book I read this month was Flames of Chaos, and we did not start this out strong. I ended up giving this book 2 stars. This follows a world in which we're following the Hecate bloodline, which are a bunch of witches, but they are essentially bred to have children and keep the bloodline going, which means they are horny. Very, very, very horny, and they sleep with literally anyone. But we follow our main character, who, although she is of Hecate bloodline, she is a virgin at 21, which is unheard of in their bloodline. When her sister goes missing, she ends up back in the human realm to figure out what happened to her, and she meets this big bad dude who is strong and powerful, and his magic works on her when no one else's magic works on her. He kind of deems himself almost like a bodyguard of sorts of her to protect her, because every monster in this realm is trying to seduce her, is trying to get with her so that they can have her babies and they can then be permitted into one of the 9 realms, which only the royal bloodlines are permitted into. So once they mate with her, they would be permitted in there. If you've listened to that synopsis, it's a lot of smut. It's a lot of raunchiness, and that's just not my typical style. I'm so sad because I have these stunning editions. I wanted to love this so much, and I giggled a lot at the start, but by the end I just wanted this book to take itself a little bit more seriously than I thought it did. I get why some people love this, but this was definitely not for me. I gave it 2 stars, and I'm gonna move on because I don't really want to just talk about it. There is a vlog where I read, and you can see my full thoughts on it if you're interested in learning more about it, but I don't really want to sit here and talk about my 2 stars when I have some really good books to talk about. Because right after that, I picked up The House of Bane and Blood, which I gave 5 stars. This story breathed life into me. It felt like a fresh take on fantasy romance. It felt like something I hadn't seen done before, and I loved it. I binged it in literally a day. The audiobook is really good. I would recommend it. It is an urban fantasy, but it is also high fantasy. It's not set on our world, which I really liked. I don't really like being in the real world, but we're following essentially a city, and there is a war going on between the revenants and the natives. The natives have no powers, and the revenants are people with magic. Now, the people with no magic use science in order to bridge that gap. We follow our main character, who is in the no magic family. She is the heiress to a train company that has since gone broke. And in order to get her family out of debt, she gets married off in an arranged marriage. She's originally supposed to marry one of the other non-magic families, but when one of her enemies from the Revenant side comes in and makes her a better deal that she cannot resist, she ends up in a marriage of convenience with him. And we kind of see some things start to unravel about her life, about her family, about the war between the non-magic users and the magic users. We're definitely rooting for the magic users in this one. I really liked the romance in this, but I also really liked the plot. I liked that it wasn't fae. It's like Peaky Blinders-esque. And I just thought it was such a new take on everything. I really loved feeling like I hadn't read this story before. And that was so refreshing to me in the fantasy romance sphere. I loved the romance in it. It is a little insta-lovey at times. However, I think it all made sense, and I really rooted for them, and I loved that the plot of this story wasn't necessarily a conflict between the romance. I really enjoyed that, and I ended up giving this one 5 stars. I just want to tell you to read it. It was so freaking good. I can't stop thinking about it. I honestly cannot stop thinking about that series. It's so good. Please read it. The train, the magic, the gang, the city setting, everything was just so good, and now I need to watch Peaky Blinders because I've never seen it, and this story has made me feel like I really need to watch it. And then right after that, I picked up The Ever King by L.J. Andrews, and I give this one 4 stars. This is a pirate romance. There is fae still in this, but like House of Bane and Blood, I did feel like this was kind of refreshing to read because of the pirate setting. The ocean setting was something I personally have only read once before. So like, it's not that it's unique to itself, but it's unique to my reading style and my reading taste. And so I really liked that. I thought the magic in this was really cool with the way the voices of the Ever people held their magic. I thought Eric's magic was really interesting. I really liked his blood magic and how his voice could heal it. I really thought that there were some really interesting takes on magic in this. Now, this is technically a sequel series. There is a series before this in the same world that follows the parents of the children that we follow in this. I didn't feel like I was missing anything. I felt like it was really well explained. I do want to go back and read that series at some point, but I was really excited to start with this one. And we'll continue in this series first. In this, we're following Eric, who has been trapped in the Everseas. A long time ago, there was a war between the Ever Kingdom and the Earth Kingdom, and the Earth Kingdom won and trapped the Ever Kingdom. Now, Eric has been plotting and plotting and plotting for revenge since he was a little boy. It happens to be that the daughter of the Earth King ends up unwittingly letting them out of their cage. And while Eric sees the chance to get revenge by stealing his daughter and whisking her away to his land where the Earth Fae can't go. In this, we start to watch them fall in love as he is keeping her prisoner. And we see a lot about the Ever Kingdom and what is happening to them and why what the Earth Kingdom did to them isn't necessarily the rightest thing to do, and we might be rooting for the Ever Kingdom in the end. I thought there was really strong aspects of found family in this that I really enjoyed, and I liked where the story went. It gave me Pirates of the Caribbean vibes. I liked our main character. I thought he was like violent enough, but still like soft enough that I could root for him, and that's something I really still need in my books. So yeah, I really did enjoy this. I gave it 4 stars. I went straight from the Ever King into the sequel, the Ever Queen, and I ended up giving the Ever Queen 5 stars. I liked it more than the first book. I liked how the world built in it. I liked seeing her friends come to play. I liked that we saw more of the Earth Kingdom and the characters in the Earth Kingdom, especially because those are the characters that end up making up the rest of the books, because if you didn't know, this is a duology that has standalones afterwards. So we have more of a story happening within a giant arc of a series, but we're following different characters in each book in a different journey. I loved the found family aspect, specifically in the Ever Queen. I think we really saw everyone come together. I liked the side characters, and I thought the plot really progressed in this. I will say the first book is more romance, and the second book is a lot more plot heavy. So if you're not a plot fan, you might not love the second book. I do think they could have been balanced a little bit better than they were, but I really enjoyed this arc, and I'm excited to see what's next in this series for these characters. I completed another duology after that, and I read City of Mirth and Malice, which is the sequel to House of Bane and Blood. I also gave this one 5 stars. This was even better than the first book. I don't know what else to tell you because I just told you about the first book 2 books ago, and I loved and adored this. I thought where the plot went in this was amazing. I liked our character growth. I liked the moments we had in this. I liked the expansion of the magic and what was really going on and what the plot is going to be if there's more books. I believe this is a duology, but there's more books coming in the world. There's another duology coming following a different couple. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but I'm hopeful for that because I need more in this world. I truly do. It was so good. This has potential to be my favorite book of the year. Like, it was just so refreshing to read. Like, I don't know. Like, I love a good fae romance, but like, sometimes they're tiring. Like, they're predictable. You know what's gonna happen. Like, oh, they're the long lost heir. Like, whatever. And this just felt so new to me that it stands out so much. It is up there for my favorite romantasy ever. Like, I loved the couple. I loved the plot. I loved the world building. I really, truly need more people to read this. Like, please just read it. 5-star duology from me. Incredible. And then we moved on to the thriller that I read this month, The One by John Mars. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I actually think I would have liked this more if I had read it at a different time in my John Mars journey. This is the 3rd book I read from John Mars, and I read my 2nd book from him only a month ago. And I think that kind of ruined it for me because John Mars has a style that he likes. He kind of goes on the same journey in every single book. He takes you on a very specific journey. And because of that, I knew where this book was going and I kind of felt like it was anticlimactic. If this had been my first John Mars, I think I would have given it 5 stars. If I had given enough time between the family experiment and this, I think I would have given it 4 stars. So it was really like wrong time for this book, which kind of sucks. This is following a dating app where you can essentially put your DNA into it and then it's going to tell you who your perfect match is. is. And what you do with that knowledge is whatever you want to do with it, but it then deals with the repercussions of something like this. What if you were already dating someone and you guys are not your perfect match due to your DNA? What if your perfect match is passed away already? What if you live on the other side of the world from your perfect match? Like, there's just so many what ifs of what this could be and what this could do to families and relationships and things like this. You already have 3 kids with someone and a dating app tells you that you aren't meant to be. Like, do you stay with this person? Do you not? And it just follows like a lot of the repercussions of something like that. There's a lot of society discussions in John Marr's books. He's really good at that, and I did enjoy this book for that, but it just wasn't thrilling enough for me because I already knew where the story was going due to how John Marrs writes. So 3 stars from me. But I do recommend it. It is a cool story. It has cool conversations. I would recommend this for sure to a lot of people. After that, I picked up Nectar of the Wicked by Ella Fields. I gave this one 2 stars. I'm so sad because I saw everyone loving this. Like, so many of my romantasy loving friends were loving this. It's a really quick read in my opinion, but it just wasn't for me. Similar to Flames of Chaos, I just felt this was too much smut, too raunchy for me. I thought it lacked a plot. The plot didn't come in till about the last 50 pages, and by then I didn't care, and I just thought there was a lot of insta sex in this. Like, it wasn't insta love, I'd almost prefer insta love, but they were just doing it to do it. And I just don't prefer to read about that. I didn't really feel the chemistry between them. I personally just didn't vibe with this book, but so many people have been loving it. I'm sad that I'm not on the hype train for it. It just really didn't work for me. In this, essentially, we're following our main character who is a changeling. She was a fae, taken away and placed in the care of a human and swapped with their baby, essentially. Her mother, guardian, because she doesn't like her, she knows that she's a changeling and she's not her baby, waits till she's 21 and then tries to swap her back for her human baby that should be in the fae world now. When that goes awry, her guardian ends up being murdered, and our main character has to find her own way to survive, including paying off all the debt her guardian had, which ends her up at a pleasure house working, where she meets a fae who makes a bargain with her. I thought this book was kind of predictable, and I just didn't feel it. It just wasn't for me. 2 stars, I'll be moving on. Really sad, because again, I have the stunning edition of it. After that, I actually did briefly try to read Book of Azrael. I ended up DNFing this book 30% in. I don't have a lot to say about it. It just didn't really work for me. A lot of info dumping too late in the story for me. Like, I really cared about her POVs, and then we got to his POVs, and I was like, wait, we're re-info dumping even though we're 150 pages into this book. Like, why is their setup happening 20% into this book? And it just stopped me from caring, and eventually I was reading this book and I was like, I don't know what's happening right now, and I don't care to know what's happening right now, which means I'm gonna DNF it. The Book of Azrael, I can't even tell you a summary. I feel like I lost it. Like, I read that book and it left my head, but it just wasn't for me. But I'm so sad because again, so many people have been loving this story, but it just didn't work for me. I did end the month off with Quicksilver though by Callie Hart, and I gave this book 5 stars. I don't know what to tell you. The hype is real on this and I really enjoyed this. This follows our main character who gets herself in some trouble, and she is whisked away to a fae realm and makes a deal with a fae holding her captive that she will help him, and in return she will get to return home because she needs him in order to return home. As she helps him, of course, feelings start to happen, and there is a lot of fantasy plot in this. I was mesmerized by the world building in this. There's so much cool stuff happening. There are all sorts of creatures in this, fire sprites and earth sprites and water sprites, and there's fae and vampires and humans and alchemists, and there's so much going on that I really enjoy. There's also kind of meddling gods in this. There's the Quicksilver, which I thought was really cool. When you read it and you understand that, I think it'll blow your mind. I really, really enjoyed this. Again, it felt kind of refreshing to me. I hadn't really read a lot like this with its storyline and the way it worked, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't 100% believe the romance. I did at the end. There were parts where I was like, I'm not sure I can get on board with you as like a ride or die couple, but at the end I think I got there, and I'm excited to see where the story goes from there. I think the characters all had really unique voices in this, which I thought was really good. It's hard to do that, and I felt like all of the characters stood out to me, and I definitely have some favorites, some MVPs I'm really excited to see in more books. I felt like the pacing was really good. It's a chunky boy, but I was never bored in it. It definitely kept me going and entertained in the story. I really, really enjoyed this, and I think it is going to be another big romantasy as well, and I'm excited for the second book. I can't complain. 5 stars is incredible. I'm hoping to keep this going until next month in August. Quality over quantity. That's what I'm stressing here. Quality over quantity, and when I feel that binge coming on, I'm gonna binge because that's how 2 of my 5 stars came. If you'd love to know more of my thoughts on books, I'm gonna leave last month's wrap up on the screen for you. If you're feeling chatty, I would love to know what your favorite book of the month was. And if you're not feeling chatty, just leave a strawberry emoji in the chat down below, and have yourselves an absolutely remarkable day.